Okay, this is the Monday, February 28th, 2022 Park and Rec Commission meeting. And it is 6:32 and we'll call the meeting to order. Rebecca, can you please do the roll call?
Commissioner Charlie?
Present.
Commissioner Elson? Maybe joining. Commissioner Koenig?
Present.
Commissioner Miles?
Present.
Commissioner Phipps?
Here.
Commissioner McPherson?
Present.
Co-Chair Janowski?
Here.
And Co-Chair Brown is absent. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca. And our urgency action item number 2. Rebecca, do we need to discuss that?
Thank you, Chair Janowski. This is the item that we are carrying forward from agenda to agenda. You're required to have it on an agenda as an urgency action if the body has not met in the last 30 days, and we just exceeded that, so we put it on as an urgency action. You're allowed to meet by video conference to vote to continue to meet by video conference. So that's why it's at the top of the agenda. And this item just asks you to make the following findings: to make a motion to approve meeting by remote teleconference and adopt the following findings. And the findings have not changed. I can read them.
I think
if you would like.
I think we don't need to do that.
But
Does someone
basically
want to
making
make?
the finding that the conditions still exist to require the body to continue to meet by video conference until it's deemed that we return in person.
Okay, thanks for
Move
that.
to approve.
Do we have a second?
I second.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Phipps. Item number 3, open time for public comment. This is for the public to comment on something that is not on the agenda. I don't see any hands raised.
No,
Rebecca,
we do
can
have,
you-
I am seeing a raised hand.
Oh.
I think I needed to make you a co-host.
Oh.
Okay, so we have a raised hand from David McPherson, and I will unmute him and start the timer once I get to that screen. Okay,
Am I unmuted and can you hear me?
you are, and we
Yes,
can
we
hear
can
you.
hear
I
you.
will start the timer if you're ready.
Lovely. Good evening, everybody. The reason I wanted to chat with you tonight was to bring your attention to something that came up in one of the mayor and town manager meetings. And that was a discussion that we had about the possibility of locating a second reader board on the bay side of Corte Madera. And just to summarize what the discussion was, is that, you know, everyone that lives on the mountain side of Corte Madera has the benefit of the reader board that appears in front of the rec center. And I personally think that it has served the town really well to put members of the community that drive past it or bicycle past it on notice about really important things that are happening in town. Whereas the folks that live on the bay side of Corte Madera don't have that benefit. So that suggestion was seemingly well received by both the town manager and the mayor. And there was a suggestion by Todd Cusimano that a possible location for a second reader board, should this, you know, be something that makes sense to the Parks and Recreation Commission and makes sense to the town council, might be the town property that or co-owned property that the fire department has on Paradise Drive. So that's all I really wanted to say, is I wanted to plant the seed that I, for one, think that it's a good idea that we have a reader board on both sides of town. 2, it may come up at some time in the future, and so give it some thought. And 3, one possible location is the fire department on Paradise Drive. Thank you, and enjoy your meeting tonight.
Thank you, David, for that comment. Appreciate that.
While I am checking for additional raised hands, I will double check the publiccomment@tcmmail.org email and see if we received any emailed public comments.
Thank you.
And we did not receive any emailed public comments for open time. And I'm not seeing any additional raised hands at this time.
Okay, thank you, Rebecca. I appreciate that. If that's the case, we will close public comment and move on to item number 4, presentations. We've got our Director of Public Works here tonight to give us an overview. So RJ, I'll turn it over to you. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Co-Chair and members of the Commission. I have a short presentation that I'm going to go through that just kind of touches on some of the things that Public Works does, some of our accomplishments from the previous year, and also kind of what's on the work plan coming up. And then also touch on just general process, just so I think everyone here has a better understanding of where we fit in on kind of the overall planning and product delivery, especially since you are all working on a pretty hefty master plan. And so I think this will help you all in that process. So with that, I'm gonna share screen. All right, can you all see the blue presentation? Great.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So this is just I have 2 slides here that, and the intent here isn't to go and memorize these, and it's not even to necessarily, tout and pat our own backs, but just kind of show that, Public Works does work on quite a number of projects. This is, our accomplishments from 2021. This is just on the town of Corte Madera side. We also manage the sanitary district. And that really is done with a technical engineering team of now we're up to 6 people. We just were able to bring on a new project manager a couple weeks ago. And then obviously we're supported by some customer service folks and a permit technician at the main building, as well as our maintenance staff. But it's, we serve a lot of different departments. We serve a lot of different needs of the town, and we're happy to do it. We enjoy doing what we do. We enjoy delivering on projects and, taking ideas and moving them forward into implementation. But at the same time, we can't always do it all. And some things, have to get prioritized and, added to the queue for a later date and whatnot. So here are just, we really look over all the, the typical stuff of infrastructure, from roads, retaining walls, sidewalks, any bike projects, traffic signals, stormwater, flood control, LED streetlight retrofits, plus, several parks type projects. We were pretty involved in the recent dog bark and skunk hollow and some other things. Here's kind of a quick peek at, what we were doing last year on the sanitary district side. So multiple sewer rehabilitation projects. We have one going on right now in the Granada Park area. Multiple pump station upgrades. So, many of those that effluent has to go to a pump station and then get kind of pushed forward from there. And so all these other projects to kind of keep things running smoothly. We also oversee a pretty robust private sewer lateral program. So that's really assisting and permitting private work where residences connect to the sewer mains. So here's kind of a look ahead at what we're working on now, and where we're focusing our efforts for 2022. This isn't necessarily a list that's embedded in stone, although it is our current playbook, and so really, unless something elevates significantly, either from council or some urgent need, obviously if there's a sinkhole or a slope failure, we're going to jump on that and make sure that the facilities are up and running. And likewise, if there's some other really critical project needed for that's important to the council and the community, then that could also get elevated. But otherwise, this is kind of our list that we're working off for this year. And I just highlighted just kind of, one key item that was emphasized by council was to kind of make progress on the town park bathroom, which I know all of you are aware about, the community's desire to add some additional facilities. So, that's something that Ashley and I have spent some time on recently, and we'll continue to kind of move forward with that and hopefully get you more information so you all can, make the best decisions possible for that overall plan. Again, just showing some of the other things they're working on the sanitary district side, more of the same, sewer rehabilitation projects. We've been running this sewer lateral pilot program for several years, and it's coming up to be expired. So we'll likely either extend that or potentially formalize that and no longer make it a pilot. We're reviewing the fees and potentially modifying those depending on all of our needs on the capital improvement side. And just all these other important projects to make sure that we're being as responsible and as we can when it comes to managing sewer effluent. And at the end, I'm happy to go through back at any of the projects and talk about them if there's something of interest. But really, this is a slide that I wanted to share, just talking about, the public works kind of roles and responsibilities. In a lot of ways, I view us as kind of your engineering consultant. So, we want to help and be involved in the scoping planning phase and kind of get you on the right track and check in on various things just to kind of keep the process efficient. But, I kind of showing it here with the dash line where it's kind of going to be intermittent in the scoping and planning phase. So I'm using the town park bathrooms as an example. I provided Ashley with a couple rough estimates for planning purposes. And then I know she took that further and developed some potential locations. And then we started evaluating some of those further. And then recently, just this morning, got a little more info back to her on that. But there's kind of this back and forth element, that covers on cost estimates and feasibility. Depending on the project, there could be some conceptual plans like we did on the dog park. We kind of had some images that we prepared and then showed to the previous commission and kind of walk people through the options. For a much larger project, let's say it's something related to, the community center structure, we probably wouldn't be in a position to take on conceptual plans for that. Hence the asterisk there. But for the kind of the small and medium projects, that's kind of where we can help out. And otherwise we'd have to bring in additional services. And then once, you have that information and once it kind of becomes a project that's moving forward, that's where we really take over. We would manage the whole design process, do all the coordination with additional services, stakeholders, utilities, you name it. If it is a big enough project that needs a full plan set, we prepare that, we bid it, we get a contractor on board, and then we do all the construction administration, construction management, and build it. And so that's generally the process. And I wanted to share that given, again, especially since you're, I don't know if you're midstream or later stages of the master plan, but I know it's going to be getting to a point where you're going to start wanting to, push some projects out. And so I think this is good info for you all to have. But other than that, short presentation, and I'm happy to revisit any slides or answer any questions you might have.
Thanks for that overview, RJ. That was really helpful.
Yeah.
Does anyone have questions?
RJ, from a timing perspective, when are your priorities set? And how does that process get to be set? So if we wanted to influence priorities or we had things, what would the timing look like for us to get in the queue?
Good question. I would say most, So a lot of our design and construction is planned kind of on a cyclical fashion. So we typically do most of our design in the winter and construction in the summer. But at the same time, we have, I would say, projects that are penciled in the next 3 and 4 years, especially the larger ones. So, you know, $1 million plus projects, we like to plan them out that far if we can. Smaller ones are obviously easier to fold in on shorter times notice. But, you know, there is an element of competition with, you know, our time and resources. And so if something's important to the council, you know, and obviously that means it's important to the community, you know, we'll try to put it on a faster track. And other projects that can wait and you know, have that luxury, then we'll just plan them out a little bit more long-term. So not the exact answer, but a little context.
That's helpful. Thank you.
Any other questions I can help with?
Okay, I guess you're all set, RJ. Thank you
All right.
very much. For
Let me check
joining
real
us.
fast and see if we did receive any emails from the public,
Oh,
or
thank
give
you.
the public a moment to raise their hands if they have any questions.
Thank you.
Um,
And that's great, RJ. As someone who pestered you lots before I even got on the commission to questions and things in the neighborhood, it's amazing to see all the stuff that you guys do and can accomplish.
I really appreciate it. And I'm lucky to have a hardworking team, department that they really care. They want to do good work. And so that makes it all possible and it makes my life a lot easier. So I'm very happy, very thankful.
okay, and I am not seeing any raised hands from the public, and we didn't receive any emailed public comments.
Well, you know where to find me. You have my email, and if you don't, Ashley can share it with you. And yeah, like I said, happy to get involved. And if you guys are wondering when to kind of tap into our resources, I'm happy to discuss and kind of problem solve that together.
Great. Thanks again for joining us tonight, RJ. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, everyone. All right. Have a good night.
All right, moving on to number 5, the consent calendar. The only item on the consent calendar is to approve the minutes of the January commission meeting. Assuming everyone has had a chance to read those, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes.
And a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, ladies. Item number 6. Oh,
Sorry,
Rebecca, did I
I was
forget?
going to
something?
call the
Oh, I'm sorry. Can we get a roll call to approve the minutes?
Commissioner Charlie.
Approve.
Commissioner Elson is absent. Commissioner Koenig,
Yes.
Commissioner Miles,
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps,
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson,
Yes.
Co-Chair Brown is absent, and Co-Chair Janowski.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Business items. We have item 6A, discussion and possible action to accept the revised use policies for the digital marquee, the reader board at the community center, and accept responsibility for future use policy decisions and make a recommendation for town council to approve the revised use policies. Ashley, I will turn it over to you for that one.
Again, this is brought back to you. This is the reader board comments that we had during the discussions of the master fee schedule. So we separated this out to revise the policies and bring this back to you for a separate review after consulting our legal team. So this is our legally polished policy for you to review and consider approving tonight. A background on the project, the staff proposed the replacement of the freestanding analog marquee to the current double-sided digital marquee in 2011. Town Council approved the project in 2012 and allocated $86,000 for the replacement. The final review of the digital marquee project was presented and discussed at the February 23rd, 2017 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, and the commission was asked to make the recommendation to the Planning Commission to approve the use of the digital marquee with any adjustments to the policy that will make it compliant with current signage codes and aesthetic concerns of the community. The Planning Commission first reviewed the request for design review and sign permit approval to allow for modification of the previously approved resolution of the freestanding sign at their February 28th, 2017 meeting. And the commission approved a motion to continue to a date uncertain design review and sign permit application and for the installation of the new reader board. And they came back to it for a second review. This is standard. So a second review and public hearing for design review and sign permit was conducted at their May 9th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting, and that's included in attachment 5. And the meeting minutes note that staff specified that the revised proposal included shorter hours from 8 to 7 p.m. and then 7 days a week, and fewer messages, which was a maximum of 3 messages per day. Following discussion and public comment, the Planning Commission approved a motion to approve the resolution for the design review and sign permit application for installation of the new digital reader board at the sign of Town of Corte Madera's Community Center within the framework of the existing reader board sign at 498 Tamalpais Drive. Following the review of past staff reports and meeting minutes, staff is unable to determine if the use policies of the digital marquee included in the staff report from February 23rd, 2017 Parks and Recreation Commission in attachment 2 were officially approved by either the Planning Commission or the Parks and Recreation Commission. Therefore, staff requests that the commission consider tonight officially approving a use policy for the digital marquee and considering accepting responsibility for future use policy decisions. In discussion tonight, breaking it down into approval of use policy and then staff notes based on research for the commission. Approval of the use policy, staff found that reference to the reviewed approval policies, but no formal action to approve and adopt the use policy for the digital marquee at the community center by either Parks and Recreation Commission or the Planning Commission. Page 4 of the minutes from February 23rd, 2017 meeting notes that the Parks and Recreation Commission unanimously approved to recommend the concept of the digital marquee to the Planning Commission for approval with the provision that the policies and rules still need to be reviewed and enhanced if necessary. And then the staff report from the February 28th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting includes that the request for the Parks and Recreation Department and the Planning Commission to request design review and sign permit approval to allow for the modification of the previously approved resolution for the standing sign. The report references that the Parks and Recreation Commission passed draft policies for the new marquee. So staff requests that the commission consider assuming responsibility for reviewing and approving future policy decisions related to the use of the digital marquee as long as decisions comply with the current Town of Corte Madera conditions for town project approval. In the second part of it, staff notes and research for the commission. At some point, the message display changed from black text on white background to white text on black background to minimize driving distractions. And on December 6, 2021, the Parks and Recreation Commission approved removing the commercial messages line from the master fee schedule. And that recommended fee schedule omitting the line item was reviewed and approved by Town Council at their February 1st meeting this year. And it will become into effect July 1st of 2022. In the interim, staff will not be accepting any requests for commercial use. And after the discussion at our September 27th, 2021 Parks and Recreation Commission meeting, the commission requested further clarification and definition related to prohibiting religious and commercial messages of the digital marquee, and staff consulted the town attorney, and the draft use of policy in attached 1 was developed. In order to clearly communicate the intended purposes of the functions of the digital marquee at the community center, the draft policy is structured into 4 sections. Section 1, findings and purpose, 2, definitions, 3, policy, and 4, the duties of the Parks and Recreation Department in implementing the policy. Staff notes that the previous concerns expressed by the commission regarding prohibited messages and definition of commercial should be satisfied by sections 1 and 2 in the draft policy. Section 1 describes the intended purpose of the marquee as an important medium for providing notice to Corte Madera residents about town-sponsored and town-wide special events and town-endorsed messages. Messages should increase awareness of those events to foster civic pride and the further of Parks and Recreation Department's mission to create community through people, parks, and programs. Staff emphasizes that Section 1D states that by adopting this policy, the town does not intend to create a public forum on the digital marquee. The town is elected to make the marquee available to announce town-sponsored and town-wide special events and town endorsed messages to achieve its goals of providing public notice, fostering civic pride, and strengthening community connectivity. With respect to the townwide special events and town endorsed messages, the Parks and Recreation Department shall not discriminate on the basis of the viewpoint in the message in its administration of this policy. Additionally, Section 4 defines how the policy will be implemented by the Parks and Recreation Department, including message review and prioritization, which should clarify any role and responsibilities of the staff. The draft policy includes modifications to the hours of operation and the number of messages displayed daily. Meeting minutes from the second review and public hearing for design review and sign permit at the May 9th, 2017 Planning Commission meeting. Note that staff specified that the revised proposal included shorter hours and fewer messages per day. After reviewing the functionality of the marquee and its use request from 2017 till date, staff suggests that the hours of operation be changed from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., beginning an hour and a half earlier in order to reach the residents on their way to work and school drop-off. Staff also recommends changing the maximum messages per day from 3 to 5 so that the Parks and Recreation Department can accommodate public service announcements from the town, program and class announcements from the department, and still be able to accommodate town endorsed messages. Staff requests that the commission review and discuss the proposed revisions of this use policy for the digital marquee, the reader board at the community center, seen in attachment 1, and consider approving the revisions to the use policy of the digital marquee as presented. And accept the second review, wrong pages, and accept the responsibility of future policy decisions and make a recommendation to town council to approve the revised use policies. So tonight, the options that I'm hoping you'll consider is 1, approve the revision of the use policies of the digital marquee as presented, accept responsibility of future use policies decisions and make a recommendation to town council to approve the revised use policies. 2, approve the revisions of the digital marquee with modification, accept responsibility for future use policies, and make a recommendation to town council for revised use policy approval. Or 3, provide additional direction to staff.
Okay, thank you for going over all of that, Ashley. I guess first, if commissioners have questions for Ashley, we can do that, and then we'll open it for public comment, and then we'll go back to discussion. Are there any clarifying questions for Ashley from the commission? I know we probably all, we can discuss it, but Rebecca, can you look and see if there's any public questions?
I'll make
Okay,
it.
while I'm waiting to see if there are any raised hands from the public, there was a message from Patty Stolier in the Q&A that just asks, what about the messages of happy birthday?
That's the town endorsed section.
Thank you, Patty, for that question.
And I'm
And
not
I do want to note that if the commission chooses to make a recommendation for approval to council, before it would go to council on March 15th, we would also notice residents within a 300 foot radius, which was consistent with the planning commission's notification, so that they have awareness that this is going to be discussed.
That makes sense. Are we ready to open up discussion now among the commissioners? Okay.
Yes, we did not receive any emailed public comments on this item.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca. Well, I mean, it's been a long history with this reader board digital marquee. Just personally, I think that I really like the idea of the extra hour for commuters. That makes a lot of sense now that people are starting to go back to work. I think 7 to 8 is probably a key time people are driving by. And I think the goals as they've been enhanced, and rewritten, and it makes a lot of sense. Also adding the extra messages. So I don't know, anyone else want to add comments for Ashley?
Was the previous issue with the timing just that someone actively has to turn it on, or usage of energy, or the light bothers someone that lives close? Like, what were the hours linked to originally?
I think the discussion was linked to any kind of distractions and hours, thinking that the light might shine into the windows of the neighboring houses, but that was also minimized by changing the background. So having the white background versus the black background.
Got it. Thanks.
I think messaging the neighbors makes sense. I mean, that's always a good idea, just to be extra safe. Anyone else have comments, or are we feeling like we're ready to take action?
I like adding more additional messages. 3 is pretty limited, especially if we have people saying happy birthday, which is always really a heartwarming thing to drive by and see people's birthdays, anniversaries, or whatever is being celebrated along with all the community activities. So I think that's a great change.
Yep, I agree with that. Anyone else? So in that case, it sounds like if it's feeling like the consensus is we're okay as presented. Does someone want to make a motion for approving option number 1? I'm not going to read it all again.
I move to approve option number 1.
Excellent. And can we get a second? Can I second?
Yes, you may.
Okay, I'll second. Thank you for doing all that work, Ashley. Like I said, I know we've talked about this a lot over the years and stops and starts, but it's nice to finally have this, codified, have legal, have reviewed it, all of us gone through it, and now have it in place. So thank you very much for pushing that across the finish line. All
Okay,
right.
should I take a vote on that then?
Yes, thank you.
Commissioner Charlie.
Also with thanks to Ashley, I'm abstaining.
Commissioner Elson.
Yes.
Commissioner Koenig.
Yes.
Commissioner Miles.
Yes.
Commissioner Phipps.
Yes.
Commissioner McPherson.
Yes.
And Co-Chair Brown is absent. And Commissioner Janowski.
Yes,
Sorry, Co-Chair Janowski.
that's fine. Yes. Okay, thank you. That's great. Item number 7, staff update and commissioner reports. Ashley, do you want to give us your director report?
Sure. All right. I'll do a quick rundown, kind of our areas that I've been trying to keep you informed of. We'll begin with active older adult programs and activities. Our weekly chair yoga and senior and balance classes continue at $5 drop-in fees, and we continue to support the congregate grab and go meals through the county. And again, we will continue to support the county's direction of having them as a grab and go format until they would like to move them indoors, and then we will be moving indoors. Corte Madera Children's Center, last week they were open full days during the winter break. They average 18 kids for each day, and a monthly session begins tomorrow. After school enrichment classes, a few classes to highlight with high participation. In the adult section, we have TAP, averages almost 20 people per class with Carol Butler. Youth, we have over 100 kids enrolled in chess between Neil Cummins and Cove Elementary Schools. And preschool, we have a very successful mini and me classes on Mondays. So if you have anybody that are in those age ranges, please check out our offerings, especially those highlighted classes. They're very successful and great to see in action. And then athletic programs to highlight. Our spring soccer clinics through Corte Madera FC have over 400 registered, which is over 113,000 in revenue. And those begin in March. Adult pickleball sessions are all full for beginner and advanced beginner. And tennis key sales to date, we have sold over 156 keys, and our revenue is about $6,500. And staff recruitment update, we have open positions for facility attendant 1 and 2, which one is the full-time position, and the second one is the part-time to support our facility rentals, which are starting to pick up, especially beginning in April. So we also have a recreation assistant positions, which would support either the front desk at the community center or in our childcare program. And then in recreation aides, which would support our childcare program, and then moving into summer camp. So this is our less than shameless plug for staffing. So if you know anybody that's looking for a part-time job or a full-time facility attendant position, please share the information. We have it available online, and any of us are happy to talk it up, anybody joining our team. The main thing is we look for people that want to be there and want to serve and engage with our community members. Every position that we have is high emphasis on customer service. And if somebody doesn't know the skill, we are happy to teach it as long as they want to learn it. So please send anyone our way. And then let's see, COVID impact update. As things keep going, please be patient with us in case we have to close our front desk. Right now, we're still trying to maintain office hours of Monday through Friday from 9 to 4. But as things happen and life happens, we will need to modify our hours. So in case we're not able to have our lobby open, we will put a note in the window that says you can have additional service by knocking on the door by the pencil bench, and we do our best to make that available. So please have patience with us as we navigate everything. We're doing our best. A summary of the Mayor's Forum on last Tuesday, I think it was last Tuesday on the 22nd. I had the opportunity to be the cameo for that, and we wanted to follow up and have a conversation about the update of the master plan process. So we had a great discussion with people who attended with concerns about the discussion on artificial turf, and then also a number of people that were very supportive of artificial turf and future research and just more information and opportunities to engage the community in those discussions. And that is available online for anybody to see. And master plan webpage, the poll and survey was opened on February 15th to collect additional feedback. Again, this poll/survey is the same questions that were asked during the 2 public meetings. So again, it's just another way for people to give additional feedback. The main topics were the public restrooms in Town Park, what to do with the community center to potentially increase classroom space, or how to increase classroom space creatively by looking at opportunities next door at Corte Madera Center. Also discussion on pools, and then a nice discussion on, which you can't see, but you can view the public meetings, but discussion on additional ideas. So again, this is always a question that if there's people that have observations in town or ways that they think that the town or this department can support them or change something that increases the usability, the safety, the functionality of anything that we do, services, facilities, we would love to hear it, especially those things that might be less effort or lower budget items. Those are things that we can implement sooner rather than including them in the master plan process. So we're always open to suggestions. Let's see, per capita grant. Oh, I'm sorry, and 68 people have already responded to the new Survey Monkey link, and that's on our website. The per capita grant. One way that we are hoping to be able to fund some installation of a new restroom in Town Park is to apply for a per capita grant, which right now we would be allocated for about $177,000. There is some portion of matching, so I'm going to be I have a draft resolution for council to review to accept the grant and submit an application, and they will review that on the 15th. So if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'm happy to share more information as I complete that application in hopes that the council approves us moving forward on that. Summer activity guide will be mailed at the end of March. And summer camp menu, which is going to be just a double-sided 8.5 by 11, nice glossy, like our menus that went out to the schools at the beginning of the semester. It'll have everything summer camp related. So all of our full day camp opportunities, our half day, morning, afternoon, specialty camps, everything's going to be listed on one page that'll go out to the schools, and that'll go out next Friday. So keep an eye on backpacks for that one, and then we'll make it available for digitally online. And then more summer information will be included in the summer preview at the next meeting.
Thank you. I have one question on the per capita grant. What's the source of that funding? Who are you applying to for that grant?
It'll be the state.
Oh, okay. Just in the state budget. Okay, interesting. Yeah. Any other questions for Ashley?
State Park, Star Parks. I'm not sure the right name. It's like an Office of Governmental Grants.
Oh, okay.
It can only be used for park improvements, new improvements.
Huh. Great. All right. Well, if there are no questions for Ashley, I guess we are moving to commissioner reports. Rebecca, I don't need to take public comment on that, do I? You've got to remind me on these things.
We usually take public comment on everything.
Okay.
each item as they come, but I wasn't seeing any raised hands, but we can call for any raised hands now.
All right. If anyone from the public has a question on any of those.
And I'm not seeing any emailed public comments for Director Howe, and no raised hands at this time.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca. I appreciate that. Commissioner reports. Commissioner Phipps, would you like to talk to us about the town council meeting?
Yes, there was 2 town council meetings on the 1st and 15th of February. And the meeting on the February 1st was jam-packed with Park and Rec presentations and information. It began with public comment, and there were 4 comments, 2 of which they were all basically about the master planning process and the artificial turf fields. 2 were very much in support of the fields and the master planning process, and we're very thankful for everyone's work in all of that. The other 2 were basically around concerns about possible environmental health concerns around artificial turf and what it's made of, its impact on the environment, water use, etc. And then Ashley gave a very thorough presentation and update on Park and Rec programming, program services, and planning. And it was very well received. In addition to that, there was a review of of the fee schedules, and town manager Todd Cusimano emphasized the importance of equity and in the planning of the fee schedule. It was mentioned that the Park and Rec budget is $1.2 million. Correct me if I'm wrong with any of this, Ashley. Park and Rec budget is $1.2 million. $800,000 of that is cost recovery, but the rest is subsidized by the town and provides seniors and low-income residents with subsidies so that they can partake in Park and Rec activities at a lower cost, or I'm not sure, but possibly free at times. But the fee schedule was approved. Also approved was a job classification for a recreation aide and recreation assistant. The meeting on February 15th did not have any Park and Rec information covered. It was basically an approval of the Corte Madera residents in for most of the meeting that day. That's all.
Thank you. That's helpful. Appreciate that. The Executive Advisory Committee did not meet. Did the other subcommittees, did programming or master plan meet in the past month?
For programming, I don't think we met in the last month. I could have that wrong on the calendar, but we did have some communication via email, communicating both with Ashley regarding some of the events that are being planned, soliciting some assistance from us, and so we had a little communication working towards some of those events, but no official meeting.
Okay, great, thanks. And community engagement, we did not meet. Master plan, did the master plan committee meet?
We did meet. We have met to discuss how to move forward on the master plan and recommendations given the level of comment and things we've gotten through. We did not come back with any firm recommendations, but more about thinking about an approach for how we would consolidate all of the feedback and to come to a conclusion. So that's kind of where we spent a good deal of our time. So we've been working on a framework to organize the feedback and prioritize.
Okay, thank you. Are there any individual commissioner updates?
I would like to make one comment specifically on the artificial turf as part of my individual commissioner updates, but that I just want to, I want to emphasize publicly that I think that the goal that the community stated was a year-round field. And that is that if we solve that through an artificial turf or we do a natural turf field that can be served as an all-around field, there are multiple ways to solve that problem, but the goal should be not artificial turf. The goal should be a year-round sports field. So I just want to keep bringing that up because I know we keep using the term artificial field, and that is not the only way to solve the problem. That would be my one update.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, moving right along. Item number 8, routine and other matters. Item 8A, discussion of potential future agenda items. At some point, we'll be discussing the Memorial Bench program. Ashley, do you have any sense of timing on that, or is this in the future?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a timeline for that. We are trying to work with Public Works. They need to do a lot of background for it. So they need to identify potential locations. And then mostly what's taking a lot more time is once you determine those potential locations, we have a list, which is the goal. Then we have to do an estimated site prep for it. And that's what has been holding up the past practice, and then what we need to get rectified so that we can move forward with a program that works. And then it'll come back to the commission to review and approve going forward.
Great, that makes sense. 8B, items for yearly review. In March, we are set to discuss the budget and summer activity guide preview. If there are other items people want to see added to an agenda, feel free to let Louise or me know, or Ashley, and we'll get them on the agenda.
Hi, so
And-
Ashley, from where is the source of suggestions for the bench location? I'm just curious. Like, are people suggesting them, or is that there's certain locations out of which that might be selected, or how does that work?
So the past practice prior to the shutdown in 2020, the past practice was somebody would want to request a memorial bench, and they would come up with a couple of ideas of locations, and then Public Works would need to go meet with them and then do a site analysis and an estimate for each location. So that took a lot of time to coordinate, and it was expensive time-wise for our staff to get out there. And then it took a long time. It was an inefficient process. So what my request is that Public Works come up with a number of sites that would work for an average amount of cost, and then know what our estimated cost is, so that we can have just one box that says, okay, a bench that you can select your location, and the bench cost is this. This is what the plaque cost is. So it makes it a lot smoother.
Yeah, sure. Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Can I ask, Ashley, are there, from the previous system, are there people like in queue who've already submitted for this?
There's about 3 or 4 people that are waiting for the program to be reinstated.
Okay.
All right, item 7C, town council meetings. In March, Louise will be covering the town council meetings. And it looks like we are adjourned. Our next meeting is March 28th, 2022. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, folks.
Thank
All
you.
right, have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.